This is going to be a doozy because today we are talking about the biggest draft steal in recent memory. He belongs to the Chicago Blackhawks, and his name is Roman Kantserov. Now, maybe it's a little hyperbolic to say the biggest steal in recent history, whatever, but when it comes to the names of guys that have been drafted in certain spots, who are showing off so much more value than what they should have been, Roman Kantserov is one of the best when it comes to players who have yet to actually play in the National Hockey League. In fact, I'd say if you were to just give a list of the top steals in recent memory, Lane Hutson's probably there at number 1, but we only know that because he's already an NHL superstar. When it comes to guys that are still prospects, Roman Kantserov is arguably the best of the best in terms of value where he was drafted. Kantserov is 21 years old, 5'9", 176, a right-wing center out of Magnitogorsk in Russia. Small guy. And as a result, he was taken in the second round of the 2023 NHL Entry Draft by the Chicago Blackhawks, 44th overall. His birth date being September 20th, 2004, means that he was actually one of the oldest players taken in that 2023 draft. If he was just born 6 days earlier, he would have been one of the youngest players available in the 2022 draft. And back in that time frame, I think he was probably good enough to actually get drafted still. Roman Kantserov, as a draft eligible, put up 54 points in 45 games for the Magnitogorsk junior team, and it was good enough to get him taken in that second round spot. Give it a few years, though, and Roman Kantserov, working himself up into the KHL, just had a season for the ages in Russia for Magnitogorsk, posting up 64 points in 63 games, 36 goals, 28 assists. He had 8 points in 15 games in the playoffs. Make no mistake about it, people, this is a 21-year-old who just lit up the KHL as an undersized center right wing. The article on Elite Prospects goes out there and says this: Kantserov can make plays on the first touch by first identifying pressure and then immediately beating it with a stick-handling move. And he can involve teammates and plays with purposeful movements. Good posture in his rush offense. He can combine crossovers, fakes, and handling moves to carry the puck. And he has a very quick passer. The Elite Prospects Scouting Report Guide goes out there and shows that Roman Kantserov has some real raw talent. Sure, he may not necessarily be the highest-ranked prospect. He was a C-graded player back in the 2023 draft, but between his really good passing, puck handling, and hockey sense, there's a reason this guy was taken in the second round by Chicago. Now, you take a look at this article that was posted by Scott Wheeler yesterday. This is the 2023 NHL Redraft. Connor Bedard, Leo Carlson, the do-over, and where these guys would go if you were to redo this draft selection. I mean, there are some pretty obvious names at the top. Bedard, Carlson, Fantilli. Nothing changes there. But if you go down into the 9th overall spot, Roman Kantserov goes from a 44th overall draft pick to number 9. Wheeler says this: I wrote at the time that Kantserov belonged higher on talent, but I also gave too much weight to the Russian factor in 2022 and 2023 post-Ukraine invasion. Those guys have always stayed longer and come with some risk, but if that has grown, it hasn't been as substantial as some maybe anticipated. Looking back on my scouting report, I think I got his profile right. Where I actually slotted him, though, was much too low. Now, admittedly, this doesn't really tell us much about the player Roman Kantserov. By the way, this article is free. It's a gift article by Scott Wheeler, another one of these pieces that The Athletic is offering to folks without any subscription needed, which is why we're reading it here. The protocol has been broken over the past few weeks but when it comes to Roman Kantserov, if we really want to take a look at what he has done, let's go over on the Dobber Prospects, because their scouting report updates from, I believe this was Victor Nuno? Yeah, it's Victor Nuno. It does give us a lot of insight as to what Kantserov has done over the past little while. Take a look at this 2026 April update. Kantserov has continued to strengthen his case as one of Chicago's most intriguing fantasy prospects, producing at a top 10 scoring pace in the KHL, and showing that his offense is not just age-relative noise, but legitimate high-end production in one of the world's best leagues. His fantasy appeal starts with his processing speed, skill, and ability to create in tight spaces, but what makes him even more compelling is how competitive and translatable his game looks, despite his smaller frame. Tracking data points to strong puck battle results, loose puck recoveries, and better-than-expected physical engagement, which helps ease concerns about whether his game will hold up against tougher competition. He still carries some risk because of his size, but the combination of KHL production, motor, and improving two-way detail gives him legitimate top 6 upside and makes him a prospect dynasty managers should be valuing aggressively. Now, in May of 2026, Dauber also wrote about how Kantserov ended up signing his 3-year entry-level contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, that ELC was actually signed in May 2025, but because he spent the other year in Magnitogorsk, obviously it slides over and he will still retain his 3-year NHL RFA eligibility. Take a look at the update over here, 26-27, 27-28, 28-29. I'm going to assume Roman Kantserov is going to get all the opportunities in the world to start out with Chicago, especially with Connor Bedard out and about. That guy's not going to play until November, so for now, it's Patrick Kane and Tyler Bertuzzi trying to lead the load offensively? Roman Kantserov is going to be given an opportunity, and so will some of these other guys. I mean, Nick Lardis is also a name that has really impressed and that displayed some amazing scoring in the AHL after being one of the top OHL guys. Lardis is equally going to be challenging for a top spot in Chicago's lineup alongside of Roman Kantserov. And if you take a look at just how Hawks fans are feeling about the entire ordeal, there's a lot of optimism for the future when it comes to these younger dudes. Sure, everyone talks about what the Hawks have been doing lately. Oh, Bowen Byram, what is Kyle Davidson doing? $12.5 million a year. But with Patrick Kane coming back and with some of these young dudes entering the mix, there is room for optimism in Chicago, even with the Connor Bedard injury. I don't expect Kantserov to be a 30-goal scorer right out of the gate or anything, but my spidey senses tell me he's going to be really good at the NHL level. I know we're not at the point of adding one piece makes us a playoff contender, but having Kantserov next season is going to be so much fun. I think if he plays 84 games, it's at least 20 goals if he gets deployed in the top 6. That would have him putting up the same numbers as Lardis last year. My hot take is that he's going to be better than Lardis. Now, that's going to be tough. Nick Lardis was able to produce a very good amount of points with Chicago, 15 and 41 games in limited ice time, whilst providing very solid AHL point-per-game opportunity scoring. Can Kantserov do that at the NHL level? Who knows? Some of the other replies go out there and say, he's a good-natured and anxious-to-get-to-work kid. Gotta love that. Kantserov said, my teammates tell me the NHL is a different league. Everyone's faster, stronger. You need to think faster. I'm staying in practice for extra time, and yeah, I'm trying to shoot faster, quick shots, and trying to practice on this stuff. If we're talking about playing the bumper on the power play, I'm trying to shoot a one-timer and not moving the puck because I'm losing some time. I understand it's a different league. It should be like this game. I understand that it's going to be fast, so I try to do everything quickly, even in my own league. Smart young man. I think his skill set pairs really well with Anton Frondel. Get Bedard's line mates in free agency or trade. Yeah, okay, they got Patrick Kane. That's a pretty good one, right? So, Roman Kantserov. Do you play him with Bedard? Do you play him with Frondel? Do you try Nick Lardis? Because, hey, they're both wingers. They could potentially do some damage together. Do you go all young with Frank Nazar down the middle? You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you do with this lineup in Chicago? But when it comes to pure upside for guys taken outside of traditionally valuable draft spots, I'd say that Roman Kantserov is providing so much value in upside and in the long-term future for Chicago. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Kantserov and what he could potentially accomplish. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.